Ladies and gentlemen, members of the audience, a very good evening to one and all. My name is Saif Anwadeen and I'm the Director of Professional Development for the Rotaract Club of Central Campus. And welcome to the Master Employee Podcast, Episode 1, The Issue of Work-Life Balance, featuring none other than District Rotaract Representative, Rotarian, Rotaractor, Past President, Kavindra Kasun Sigera. So today's podcast is all about talking about work-life balance and what it means and how can we as youngsters and young adults balance out this, I want to say, myth or legend or truth called work-life balance. Because all of us here today are all joined by one thing, the passion and love for being a rotaractor. Now, at times, Rotaract can invade our personal and professional lives, or is it the other way around? So, the question here is how can we effectively balance that time so that we can make more time for the things that we love the most? So, Rotaractor Kasun, my first question to you is we have a lot of new and young members in the audience here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you work, what you currently do, and what it is to be a district Rotaract representative?
Okay, so that's a lot of questions in one question itself. Okay, so currently in terms of employment, I'm uh, as of 5 o'clock today, I was working at Lankatires PLC as an assistant export manager, and as of now, I'm unemployed. But from tomorrow morning, 1st of April, from 8:30 p.m., I'll be working as a managed international business at Hema's Consumer. So that's my employment details as of now. But on top of it, I do work as a freelance news anchor to Sri Lanka Rupahani Corporation, and I also work as a marketing consultant for some of the startups, especially the IT startups that are there. And I actually have my own startup. So currently, in terms of employment, that is where I am. And if I am to introduce myself, well, I'm someone who's truly passionate about traveling and who started my career because of traveling and who loves exploring new opportunities and new chances, that are there in life. And I would say, if I were to define myself in terms of everything that I stand for, I am probably someone who loves exploring. And yeah, so in terms of pretty much in everything in nutshell, that is where I am. And yeah, I hope I answered your question. Should I answer about what it means to be a DRR as well?
Go ahead, Kasan, go ahead.
Okay, so when it comes to work and when it comes to our lives, there are things that you really love doing, right? Now that we're speaking about work-life balances, one of the most important things in life is to find something that you're truly passionate about. That is where like a lot of people fail in their lives because they do something because they're compelled to do, not because they truly love what they're doing. So road track in my life is probably the best distraction, best positive distraction that I have, and what it means to be a DRR. I'm not someone who loves absorbing a lot of titles into my life. I'm someone who loves just being free and being as what I would be without a title. So for me, I'm as spirited as an average road tractor in our district. Me, what it means to be a DRR, I would say I'm as excited as any other road tractors. Probably I'm a little more excited because I am usually a little hyperactive. But yeah, means to be what it means to be a DRR. I'm truly proud because not because it's a title. I'm truly proud because it's a representation of the good work that the youth in our country could do, and obviously leading the largest youth-led movement and the most passionate and the most impactful youth-led movement in the country. So that is what it means to be a DRR and what it means to be a road tractor for me.
So, Kasun, thank you for answering that. I just want to ask you about your one of the answers you gave. Actually, you said you like exploring, and that to me tells me that you're a very curious individual. So, asking about your curiosity, what drove you to join the Rotary movement? Actually,
So I feel like if it was someone to take as an example, I don't think it's the most motivating factor to see my story of how I joined road track, because it was purely coincidental. Um, so I'm someone who loves the community I am from, that is California. So at that point, I had just started working at Lankatires, and and then I had a few hours left for my news bulletin, which was supposed to happen at 7:30. So I remember uh, I was idling, and one of my friends who seems to be around that area just told, like, you seems to be close by. We have a road track club meeting, and it's road track club of California. Why don't you come and have a look? But before you come, make sure that you give a call to our president or secretary that time, and see if you like the club and the fraternity, and then see if it's something that you like. Just walk in. So it was purely coincidental, and then I was also like quite curious as to why these people are like so hyped up about being in road track, and being a road tractor. So like I think it's purely because of curiosity that I went into that meeting. I wanted to see like what's the big deal about. And then at that meeting itself, I think me being Poddak Pandita as I'm always, I went on to uh, suggest a few ideas, about a key project that they were working on. It's a project called Think Pink, which is, I think, inherent to Road Track California. And Me being me, I kept on asking a lot of questions about the project from a random person. So at that time it didn't make much sense, but apparently later on I found out that I was questioning the revival president of the club, and it's the person who has started the club. I'm so glad that they let me into the club, first of all, because I can't think of like anyone else like who would have not gotten offended with the questions I asked. So just to tell you like how this conversation went, uh, this project is about breast cancer, right? So the project at that time, it was just a seminar for road actors to understand about breast cancer. So I didn't know much about road track, and I go in there randomly walking into the meeting, and then I sit there for a few minutes, and then this guy is talking about like this particular project, and I was like, "Excuse me, I have a couple of questions." I don't think I have even introduced myself like that at that point. Probably only the president and secretary knew that it was this stranger walking in. The questions were, um, look, like, breast cancer is usually prevalent among women of 30 plus years of age, and uh, road track by definition is lesser than I mean 30 years of age at that point, right? So what happened was, if the target audience is below 30 years of age, and if the susceptible patients are above 30 years of age, there's a mismatch. So why don't we convert this project and take it to the community? I am so glad till this point I'm a road tractor, because if it was someone else, like, they would have definitely chased me. So I mean, chased me out of the club. But so yeah, that is what made me join road track, and what made me continue road track was obviously I wanted to see in depth, and it was a movement that I could probably experiment and probably be a little bit of a pandita and still survive. And obviously there was so much else for me to learn about how people are passionate about a course, and how people are passionate about doing something else for the betterment of people around, thinking about themselves. So that's what I think kept me going in road track, and what made me join road track. I know it was such a lengthy answer, but I think I had to give the context, otherwise it doesn't make sense. So yeah.
of course, Kasun. So basically, what started off as a curious club has turned into something which you are very, very passionate about today, isn't it?
Absolutely, safe, yes.
Absolutely. And so it's that, okay, so you're saying it's that passion which drove you, which keeps driving you in the Rotary movement. But after you joined the club, did you ever see yourself taking up such a responsible role such as DRR?
Safe, give me 1 minute. I'm just trying to settle in. Hold on,
Okay.
so that I could turn on the camera. Also, 1 minute.
All right. Sure, sure.
Um, and I used to hate them, to be very honest. But I became a president of a Rotary Club. It's primarily because I was forced to take it up, and then I'm someone usually if I take something up, I want to perfect it and then do uh, to the best of my ability. So which is what led me to be a president, and then later on, after becoming one of the best emerging clubs of the district, I was given the chance to enter the district steering committee by past DRR Yusuf. And then there only I thought, okay, maybe I should, give it a try and try to change a few things about road track in Sri Lanka. Because I thought there was a lot of scope for us to develop and change the movement about when it comes to the professionalism, and how a movement like this could be converted into a professional youth-led movement. So it was primarily that factor that led on from one to another in being a president who wanted to do something different, and then being a public relations director who wanted to achieve something significant, and then being wanting to do something and take the road track into a greater space. It was what that step led from one step to another. But I never imagined or thought that I'm going to be a DRR one day, because to begin with, I didn't know what a DRR was when we started. So not at that point. There was this funny incident that happened. Saif, once my past president at that point, she took me to what we call as a cluster meeting, right? And then apparently we were waiting for the DRR to come, and I didn't know who DRR was. So then I'm seated, and everyone else was, outside. I was very new. I think only 1 month into the movement, and then so there comes a small mate guy, sits next to me. Hi, are you new to road track? I was like, yes. What are you doing here? I mean, the other person asked, and then I tell. Apparently, we are waiting for someone called DRR, and it's very unprofessional of him to be so late. Uh, and that happened. And apparently, I have spoken to past DRR Husni, who was the DRR at that time. So went to a few blunders, but I never pursued myself to be a DRR, or I never thought, I did not continue my journey in road track to be a DRR. It was one step that led to another, and one set of reasons that led to another. But I'm glad that looking back, that all those decision making points led to one to another, because I think um, it was all relevant looking back. So yeah, safe.
It's funny that you mentioned that because in the beginning of your, like as soon as you joined the club, you were confused about the term DRR, just like me and a couple of other members as well in our club. Because when we first started out our road track club, as soon as we charted it, I think a couple of months before that as well, I could hear our president, road tractor Pramod, talking about something called DRR. So at that moment, it didn't really click in my mind, but it was very, very confusing. But to mention that as well, speaking about that, I never thought for a second that I personally would invite the DRR to be a part of one of my projects. So it's crazy how things work out. And just to actually mention another thing, Kasun, since you took over this position, actually, I can understand there must have been a major change in your workload and in your perception as a road tractor. Because quite honestly, it was very, very difficult to get a hold of you because I can remember you used to have meetings until 11:30, 12 in the night. How is it for you to balance your time? I think the timing was one of the most controversial things, right?
Yeah. So, Safe, like if you consider the last few years of road track, we haven't had a DRR who was full time working and took on the mantle of being a DRR. It is more like a second. It is more like a full time job. You become a DRR, and then rest of it like you continue on your leisure time or your free time. But the reason I wanted to be a DRR is very simple. It's because I wanted to show that a working professional can actually be a DRR. Because if you are talking about a movement that is for professionals, and the fact that you are a professional is what restrict you from being a DRR, I mean, it does not make sense. So that was the reason that wanted me to go and apply to be a DRR. But second thing, like you very correctly said, time. So today, now, um, I had my farewell ceremony happening till roughly about 6:57, and then I had to run to the car park, and which is why I could not answer your call. And then like at 7:03 I joined the call. So that's the nature of it. Time is very restricted, and right after this I have to attend another event, and then after that I have meetings till today 1:30. So that's how it usually works out. 11:30 is actually early, so it's not that uh yeah, it goes until 1:30. I mean 1:30 sometimes too, because you have to manage, just like I'm making space for Rotary Club of Central Campus, I need to make time for all the other clubs in the district. And yes, there are at times pending work, some videos I have to submit, but then we are still working with 24 hours that are given to us. So it's quite restrictive, but um I don't think, honestly, the time is the restrictive factor. If you really think, time is always there. It's just that our passion and our priorities are different, right? I used to ask this question from my colleagues who used to tell that you do not have time to do anything other than their jobs or their relationships or anything else. My question was, look, just because like you do your job, right? Uh, yeah, you do it like from 9 to 8, 9 to 5, or probably 8:30 to 5:30, and then what do you do after that? I go home. And what do you do after that? I probably watch some music, and I probably spend some time. So what people like used to tell me is you do not get family time. That's when you commit yourself to which I can't say no, because I know it happens right now, especially being a DRR. I probably wouldn't have stayed at home for the last 40, 50 weekends, because I started working as a DRR elect very early. So I wouldn't have had much time. But how do I manage the workload? I try my level best to complete my workload at office during the early hours of the day, right? Um, and then I do not like to have a lot of pending work, right? And then I kind of plan ahead, right? So it helps me to stay a little organized. But my district secretary and assistant district secretary do not agree for this. They think I push it a lot, and they blame me on a daily basis, saying that I do not take care of myself. Yes, that is probably true, not true, that I do not know. But when it comes to this particular time management, I try my level best not to mix roles. I do not try uh, working everything about road track at work. But if there are things that I need to prioritize, I do. But um, of course, if there is thing that needs to happen during the next 1 hour, I do not evade it. I somehow reply so that I can finish it off. I like ticking off things rather than keeping them pending. So that is probably the best time management tool I have. And obviously, another downside of it is I get less sleep. Where all of you probably would be hitting the bed by 11:30, I hit the bed by 1:30, sometimes two, and then wake up next day at 6 o'clock again to go back to work and complete the tenure. Sometimes it's very very tiring, but I think, I mean, without a little bit of a challenge, where's the fun? So that probably is something that keeps me motivated. And obviously, seeing the results of what you do, making some tremendous progress, I think that motivates you even to probably work a little harder and work a little longer. So I think that is where it is. But uh, being very honest, there are days that I honestly want to shut off. Like it's very tiring, But yeah, I think so far, touch wood, I managed it. I hope like for the next 2 months also I am capable of doing it. But I think I kind of answered your question, right? Say,
Yeah, yeah, definitely you did, Kasan. So, I mean, coming from me personally, actually, so I'm a full time employee and I'm a full time member of the Toastmasters Club as well, and I'm a full time road tractor as well. So, to be honest with you, I would say 24 hours is to cram everything into one 24-hour time slot is very, very difficult because you see 9 hours being at work, coming back home, spending 3 hours on Toastmasters meetings, spending another 3 hours on Rotract meetings. It's quite difficult because there are times I had to sacrifice time for myself, going out and trying to meet up with friends, family. So I got a lot of negative reaction regarding that. Was that something you used to go through as well, where you did not have time to meet your personal friends or spend time with your family and loved ones? If so, how did you manage to overcome that?
um, it's such a tough question because I know like if I tell see, okay, let me just put it in this way. Time is never enough, right? It's never enough because sometimes you want to dedicate so much time for your loved ones, your parents, your family. Even if you do, it still might not be enough, right? Like it does not, come to a level of satisfaction, like you say. And it's not like your job where you can say like I've completed my quota of 6 hours with the family. No, you can't do that. Like it's never enough. But when it comes to, yes, there are still like right as I speak, my uncle is going through something, some sort of a very hard health condition. So maybe I'm not capable of going and seeing him every day, right? Because with the workload and with the other commitments that I have and the responsibility I have, I do not want to be making excuses and going ahead with certain things. So I expect the people around me to kind of understand that there is a commitment. And I also do not keep a blank page. If I can't do something, I try my level best to say, look, I might not be able to meet your timeline, right? One of the biggest problems that I initially faced was, I did not like saying no to someone, because when a road tractor or road track president with so much of hype and enthusiasm comes and tells me like, look, Kasun, we are doing this, can you be a part of it? Telling no is very hard, trust me. It more than even like it physically drains you out, it drains you out emotionally, because you are killing the enthusiasm of a person, and I do not like that. So sometimes I instead take a lot of pressure to myself. Even there are multiple instances where I would have been in two sessions at the same time. There are instances probably I actually did like once, um, were in like three sessions, with iPad and computer and then the phone on the other side. Uh, I like how the virtual landscape, kind of changed it, but doesn't mean like it was very effective. But I do not want to kill the enthusiasm of a road tractor who comes on board, with a new idea. Uh, but I think communication is the key. You have to communicate to the respective parties. Look, I might be having a little bit of trouble, joining at this particular time, but can we reschedule? Can we try a alternative time slot? So those are few options that are available, but it might not be the 100% solution, because they have their own plans and whatnot. Um, yeah, there is always criticism. Like, you can say like, okay, DRR is busy, DRR does not have time, or DRR is very locusin, DRR is like too bossy. Probably, I mean, all sort of criticism can come. But I think the biggest problem is not with understanding the role of DRR. The problem is always us trying to understand the capacity, understand the capability, and the availability of another human being, right? I wish I was machine controlled at times, because you do not. It's just a matter of putting some oil in, but still not capable of doing that. But yeah, so that is what it is, and I think communication is the key, and understanding is the key. As long as understanding is there and the support is there, your personal friends, your loved ones, your relationships, your even your bosses for that matter would understand. And I think it's also coming down to how you fulfill your responsibility. I'm someone as a boss. If my work colleagues are fulfilling their duties, I don't want them to see them physically there. No, you have we live in a different world. So it's always about you fulfilling your responsibility and you communicating about your inability to be somewhere, and obviously you making sure that you give the right amount of time to each element, and they obviously understand in return. So yeah, it's a major cycle of a thing, not just a one-way line. So yeah.
So, Kasun, actually, I have two questions I want to ask you based on what you just told. Actually, so the number one thing is actually it's a good thing that you mentioned about work and managers as well, because there are times I've noticed with a couple of my friends who are working at the same time and who are also doing Rotaract and who are also being a part of the Toastmasters fraternity as well. There are times when they want to leave early. There are times when they want to leave work early so that they can come and attend meetings, come and be there for their club, be there for Rotaract, be there for Toastmasters. There are some instances where I've noticed some managers, just brushing it off as to it's not important. What would you say to maybe change their mindset? Because being a Rotaractor and being a Toastmaster is, I would say, it's very important for our own personal and professional development, whereas managers don't look at it in that sort of a way. What's your comment on that, and what would you say to them to maybe change their mindset?
I think it's probably a test of time, to be very honest, uh, right now, because we're working with different generations, right? There are, in these generations, there are people who are absolute workaholics, right? Who does not see a life beyond work, right? And on secondly, there are people who does not work at all, right? Who would probably be waiting to get out of work the moment if it's like 4:30 or 5 o'clock on clock. So, and then there is us who wants to balance both, right? uh, I think it is very situational. Now, for instance, if I try explaining that I am a part of a volunteer movement that probably sacrifice a lot of time and goes out there sacrificing your uh, money, your effort, your weekends, everything, and going out to work, they will think these guys are like this guy is absolutely crazy, like, because that is not the life that they see, that they're comfortable with. For them, coming to work early and going uh, going late is what your performance indicators are. But I think we are in a change of a landscape where we are going into a more of a performance driven culture than your availability driven culture, right? Because end of the day, our KPI should be driven on your performance, especially in a company atmosphere. So I have had enough instances. Like, there are instances I had to probably not tell the actual fact, but to go out, um, probably having to fabricate things. It's not because I'm being not a genuine, I mean, it's not because I wanted to be a fake employee. It's because I know that understanding is not going to be there, right? So I have no choice but to probably fabricate something and tell, right? I don't know how many times I had to kill like probably a living relative of mine to go. Probably how many times that I have to how many times that I have to put someone who's actually living wonderfully to deathbed. But the thing was like, see, that is the nature of the company that you work in. I'm not complaining about any company, but it's a part of the culture that is there, and that is not just a person who is complaining, because end of the day, even a manager reports to his superior, right? And they report to their superiors, right? So there is always organizational pressure that comes down and trickle down. So um, but having said that, the situations in companies are very much improving, right? People are accepting and people are wanting more people who are volunteering, people who are doing extra to come on to their companies. The new job that I'm starting is primarily, it gave so much recognition for the fact that I'm a volunteer, right? So I hope like things will improve. I should, that's still too early to call. But the 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 dying factor there is things are improving. We at times need to be patient, and which is why we need to take ownership of that particular instance, and we have to know what needs to be said and where we need to be. right? So as long as we get that um, mechanism right, I think we are okay. So it's a matter of you communicating. It's a matter of you being able to balance it, and obviously at times you having the situational intelligence and emotional intelligence to escape things that can distract you from taking part in things. And obviously there's one more thing, Saif. Like imagine you prioritizing your volunteering more than your company job, then there's a mismatch, because at volunteering you don't get paid, but you're doing something for your heart, right? But in the meantime, we shouldn't forget that the company is paying and investing on you, because like they expect returns through that, right? So we have to understand that fact. Companies always run on three different things. That is, they call it as the triple bottom line. Triple bottom line is people, planet, and profit, right? So as long as people are not balanced, as long as profits are not balanced, as long as planet is not balanced, you fail as an organization. So at a micro level, you as an employee, you need to balance it off also, right? Are you doing your part to the planet? Are you doing your part to the company in terms of the profit? Are you doing your part in terms of you as a person to the people? If you can balance it, you're good. If you can't balance it, then my friends, you're in a lot of trouble. So yeah.
It's very funny that you mentioned that, Kasun, because I myself find it very difficult at times, most times, to balance my personal life, my road track life, my Toastmasters life, and of course my professional life. Because you see, some of us, we're not sure how to draw a clear distinction between that line. 9 to 5 work, yes. Then from 5 till around until the next day, maybe we might be busy with different meetings, but there are times when some of us forget that there has to be a distinction. So having said that, Kasun, we have a lot of young members in this meeting right now, and in our club as well, from different clubs, from different types of voluntary organizations as well, and most of them are working. So I released a survey a while back, actually, to gather up some questions, to get a good idea, to get a good feel, basically. The number one question most of them asked was, when we come home after work, after a very tiring day, we just don't have the life, the energy to attend meetings, and while we're at work, we get bombarded with messages. What advice can you give to them as to how they can, perfectly balance out their life from your point of view?
Okay. So before I go in there, Saif, let's just try to understand one another here. On a day, how many messages do you think that you get? How many group notifications do you think that on a day? Like, let's say, how many do you get?
I would say about 200 plus.
200 plus notifications. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to just type in how many messages that you would probably get in an hour? Uh, because I just want to show like how this is very situational. Anyone who wants to say like, okay, probably in 1 hour, or probably per day, how many conversations that you engage in? Anyone who wants to type it? I hope everyone is still up. Right. So let's just say, like, people might not want to reveal the number of conversations that they have. But yeah, uh, I'll just tell you one thing. If I keep my phone, okay, so I think Pramod replied. Let's see how many that is. Pramod just replied with the smiley. Cool.
I'm not telling the amount.
Oh, you're not telling them out, right? Okay. So what I'll tell you is this: if I keep my phone shut for 30 minutes, okay, Oshadi says 200 plus. If I keep my phone shut right now, okay, I'll probably be I'm not capable of seeing my notifications right now. But if I keep, okay, let me just try that also for the time being. Hold on. Okay, right. So I hadn't checked my messages probably about for the last 35 minutes. Okay, I have 570 notifications right now. Okay, so that's probably is like the type, it will give you like how many, you know, conversations that you are to be a part of. This is not personal, okay? Like personal platforms could be even like, you know, worse. Sorry. Am I still live? I think my line got disrupted. Pramod, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Now okay.
Kasun. We
All
can,
right,
we
okay.
can.
Yeah, I got a call, so I think the line got disrupted. So what I wanted to say was like, look, the number of notifications that you get and then the number of meetings that you have, it all comes down to one fundamental fact. Is it a number that you want to make an excuse and not reply and not be a part of? Or is it a number that you want to happily go home, probably, even though like it was a tiring day at work? Are you taking passion in taking part in the next meeting, right? Because look, me being a DRR, if I do not like commit to that respective meeting, I am trickling down negativity to the people who are organizing that. Because I have to understand that a club president is going to look from the club president's perspective. For them, they want the 100% of me committing to it, right? Then the next club president who has a meeting, or next avenue director who has the meeting, next RILA meeting, next conference meeting, if I do not have that, you know, energy that I bring into that meeting, then that individual event is not going to be successful, right? So understanding that perspective, I do not want to make it an excuse. I do not want to make it an excuse. You know, try to give half or probably avoid a meeting, because I have to be the one setting an example to the rest of my team. Because if I start giving excuses, they will also start giving excuses, and then, you know, it's a very negative vibe to be in. It becomes more of a dysfunctional culture. So we did not want to, you know, want that to be the one that is, you know, there in place. So it's very simple. I think gathering that extra bit of energy is tough. I understand that it's totally tough, because at the end of the day, we are all human. We are made out of flesh and blood. But I think if your passion can, you know, come in, and, you know, if your energy can be reboosted, and if you know how to prioritize, I think it won't be much of an issue. You have to know where you need to put your energy in. If I see something negative that does not want my attention, I evade it. I do not even go and, you know, open that conversation. I kind of check the notifications also. So if it's something that I really don't want to be a part of at that point, it's not the most important thing, I evade that. And probably later on, I, you know, get back to that as a courtesy if I really need to. Doesn't mean like, because see, it's humanly impossible at times to do that. So I think we have to know what our capabilities are. We need to, you know, prioritize, and we need to obviously cater to the need of the minute than trying to address all the 1,000 problems that you see in a minute. So that is where you can channel your energy, and that is where you can, you know, delegate like your time to the things of importance. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. Like you, and something I personally believe in is, if you can't control something, don't worry about it, right? So if you can't really do anything about it, don't worry about it. That is where a lot of, you know, people fail. They try to be providing solutions to anything and everything. No, you have to trust your team. You have to trust the people who are doing it for you, people who you have recruited. So you trust that, and you trust your team, and you uh, divide the energy and the passion that you have when it comes to meetings. I think that is the only way that you can get through if you want to keep on striving forward. Because more you grow, more responsibilities you get, people expect a lot more from you also, right? So it's a fine line that you have to you know, draw as to where your energy needs to be, where you need to be, and, you know, where the thing, what are things that you really don't need to focus at that point, and probably you can, you know, come, which we call as prioritizing. So yeah, that's it. If it makes sense, I.
That actually made a lot of sense, Kasun. That I think that answer was probably one of the best answers I've actually heard, because you see, I asked that question from a lot of people and they kept on giving me vague answers. But I think you actually took the time to explain it to myself and to all the members here as well. So, with reference to time as well, because me, I personally have a lot of other questions, but I would love to ask. But with reference to time and with respect to time as well, We only have like 10 minutes remaining until the podcast is over. So this is where I would like to actually invite maybe some of the members from the audience, maybe some of my board members as well. You guys are most welcome to unmute yourselves right now and ask Rotaractor Kasun anything what you want to ask regarding the topic as well. So yes, guys, and just another addition as well. I want you all to please check the chat box. I am going to be sending a link to mark the attendance and the feedback form for this project. So please be kind enough to go through that link and fill out that form as well. In the meantime, y'all are all welcome to please unmute yourself and ask Rotaractor Kasun anything y'all want regarding the topic. So come on, guys.
Hi, Rotractor Kasun, Fahima here, and I think that was a great speech, and the people around here, how to actually balance work and your personal life. I think that was a good, inspiring speech, which I've heard so far, because that was more practical than something very theoretical. So thank you so much for enlightening us, Rotractor Kasun.
Thank you for the compliments, Fahima. Means a lot. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Faima. Do we have anyone else who would like to maybe unmute themselves and ask Rotractor Kasun anything with regards to the topic or anything at all, actually? Going once, going twice, and sold to myself. I just have one last question before we go, Kasun. With regards to every single thing that you just told us, and with regards to everything that you are about to come across in this journey of you being a road tractor, I just have one question to ask you. Is it all worth it for the passion you have?
Um, there is no doubt. Like it's absolutely is worth it, because I've seen like how impactful the volunteering experience can bring you. Trust me, like no other riches is going to give you that feeling. Um, when you see like the smile, that little act of kindness that you do to a little kid, and then when you see like people around you and the opportunities that you have given to people, driving them up the corporate ladder, and when you know that your team members are doing well in your life, that satisfaction you never get. Trust me, like my one of the things that drives me the most in life is like to see my team grow. um nothing makes me more happier than anything, when I know like because it's very very coincidental. When I meet a person, probably even before I ask like someone how they are, I probably might they ask like how's the studies going. I'll probably ask like how's the work going, like because I ask them because I want them to do better in their lives, and them to like get the best out of their lives, because our time to work hard is very limited, right? Soon in another 20 years we might be not as energetic as right now, right? We do not have that energy to work, right? So when you have that energy, you need to work, right? There's no point of you trying to like do hard things when you're not capable. There's a mismatch of energy. So I think when you know that you have influenced another person for the betterment, and when you know that person is doing better in their life, and the opportunities that you have given to another person is actually helping them to climb through their life, I think that is the best satisfaction that you get, and that I don't think even a six-figure salary is going to give you. So but while you say that, you have to have a balance in life, like it's absolutely worth it, you know so just to tell you, today, like there was a reason that I decided the 31st of March to be my final day at Lanka Tires. When I joined as an executive for Lanka Tires, I was the youngest executive in the group, a group of about 1,200 employees, right? And when I joined, I was the youngest, and that time Lanka Tires exports were close to about 500 million. No, I think it was less than that, about 400 million annually, right? Today, I intentionally made it the last day because we made history today, being able to record 1.02 billion exports, end of the financial year, right? So which is double the time, double the amount, and that is my last performance statement as an assistant manager exports, as the youngest assistant manager in the company. So what better way to leave? So is it worth it? Absolutely. Is it like rewarding? Yes, absolutely. And is volunteering rewarding? You if you don't think volunteering is rewarding, trust me, my friend, you haven't seen how deep this can give you. I'll give you one example. Let's try to put this all into a sense that it makes sense, right? I had a lot of people like who were given district positions. They thought like it's not worth it. They are too old for district. They might not be like wanting to do something. I'll tell you one thing. Tell me one company in Sri Lanka where you can be a leader for 7,800 people at a given point. If you can find me an answer, unless you're a okay, at a manager level or an executive level, if you can find me an answer, you got a free copy from me. If you can be a leader of that capacity for any organization in Sri Lanka, that is road track, right? And that is the type of one of the toughest things as a corporate personality is managing people. So that exposure that you get, irrespective whether you're working for the largest company in Sri Lanka or the largest conglomerate in the world, it's going to obviously give you a set of skill sets that you're never going to have. So is it worth it? I can't think of any reason it is not worth it. So do volunteer, do it out of true passion, seek out for opportunities, and then survive the test of times, survive the challenges, right? And then obviously make sure that you have the right intentions and you groom a set of people around you, right? If I hadn't groomed like the set of people in my department, I wouldn't have achieved the highest annual sales of Lanka Tires PLC, Lanka Tires, Lanka Walters PLC for exports in the year that I was a DRR, right? So is it worth it? You tell me.
That was absolutely well said, Rotractor Kasun, and 100% you are right. And to my audience members as well, yes, it is worth it. 100% worth it. Just like Rotractor Kasun as well said, the more we give our community, the more we do to help one another, and as a result of us helping them, as you see that smile on their faces, that just warms your heart and it motivates you to do more. So, yes, it is 100% worth it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the very end of our podcast. And I must thank our guest of honor, Rotractor Kasun. Thank you so much for attending the very first premiere episode of the Master Employee Podcast, episode 1, the issue of work life balance. And Rotractor Kasun, would you like to say any closing statements before we wind up?
All I have to say is, look, guys, all of us are very different. We have different missions for life, different visions for life, but never let go of an opportunity that you get, because opportunities don't come and knock at your door every day, right? In my life, I would worry about the opportunities that I said no to than the mistakes I've made. End of the day, mistakes you can recover, but opportunities you're never going to get it. So balance your life. Go challenge yourself. There is more power in you than you think yourselves to, right? And is it worth it? Like you said, it's absolutely is. But then I can't show you. You have to feel it. You have to know that. And if you really need some more motivation to be a road tractor, I'll tell you one thing. I was headhunted by Hema's PLC because of the fact that I was one of the most active DRRs in the current district, and because my volunteerism was recognized. So if you need further motivation, do good, be good, and obviously enjoy your life, enjoy everything you do. Uh, if you're not happy with anything that you're doing, don't do it, because you are wasting times of everyone else and including yourself. So find what you love, do what you love, and enjoy it. Don't take it as a pressure. And you will find enough time when you realize that you have the heart and the soul to do it, and you have a heart of a fighter to achieve things in life. So keep fighting and keep discovering new opportunities. Good luck to all of you guys. Thank you very much for Rotary Club of Central Campus for having me. Truly loved it and truly treasure it. I hope I did not waste 1 hour of your life, 1 hour of your life. I hope you would have gathered something. But feel free to reach out as a friend, as a road tractor. Will always be there to support you. And if you guys need any sort of career training or career guidance, as a friend, I think any road tractor, any district steering committee member, any professional in our movement will always support you. So reach out for opportunities, enjoy your life in road track, enjoy your road track journey. I wish you guys all the very best and all a set of positive vibes coming in your way. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thank you so much, Rotractor Kasun. And again, to all the audience members, thank you so much for attending the very first premiere episode of the Master Employee Podcast, and from the Rotrack Club of Central Campus and the Professional Development Avenue. Thank you, have a good night, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye bye for now. Viva la Rotract.